Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive Talking Nerd, John Norgrove. We've got Wife here. Today is another review Jive. We are talking about the Hulu series, Solar Opposites, which is produced by Justin Roiland, who is one of the two producers for Rick and Morty. Literally watch a commercial for it, and that shit is obvious.
Yeah.
Right? It is very... what I would like to call Rick and Morty light.
Yeah,
it's Rick and Morty. It's Rick and Morty adjacent.
I would say adjacent, not light.
Well,
it still deals with some heavy stuff.
We'll get there. But in general, I think that this show, it could exist within the reality of Rick and Morty, probably.
Yeah, so the synopsis for the show is: a family of aliens from a better world must take refuge in Middle America. They disagree on whether Earth is awful or awesome. So that tells you nothing about this show. And I think it definitely could exist in the same universe as Rick and Morty.
I mean, probably.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, in one of the multiverses, I suppose I should say, is probably a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as part of the infinite multiverse, you wouldn't say as one of the multiverses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there's multiple multiverses.
Would that not just still be a multiverse? Well, you're talking about big and little infinities here.
I feel like
because multiverse is infinite.
No, I don't know about infinite. But what if multiverse...
It's a thing that Rick literally screams at Morty on a regular occasion.
Is like finite and...
But it's not. It is infinite.
And there's multiple...
They know it's infinite, right? Everything that can and will happen does happen.
I mean, that's true, but what if it happens more than one time, and then you have multiple multiverses? I'm gonna stick with this. I'm really trying.
It can happen more than once. That doesn't. It just doesn't make it.
Here.
I'm not giving it to you. Don't give it to her. Yeah. Either be good at science that's make believe, or be bad at science that's make believe. This is a yes/no situation, and I'm good at make believe science. So. Yeah.
So the main family is Justin Roiland voices Corvo, and Thomas Middleditch does Terry. He's the guy from Silicon Valley, which is a fantastic show, and I think he's a hilarious actor. So they are two aliens, and they have been, I mean, really, if you watch an episode of the show, it basically tells you the premise of the show, which is that they're from a planet that was dying, and then they got copies of themselves, replicants, that is, and were sent to Earth. So they, so that's the two of them.
Their planet was struck by an asteroid.
Yeah, and the way that it plays is somewhere between...
So the planet was dying via an asteroid hitting it.
Yeah, so their relationship is somewhere between, coworkers who are supposed to be, doing a thing with an outcome to, marriage. It's very interesting. But also sometimes they act a lot like one's the child, so that's a pretty funny dynamic between them.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely... I mean, this really follows the Rick and Morty, structure of the whole show being very, there's the smart sciencey one, and then there's the not smart dumb one, and the not smart dumb one gets into hijinks, and the smart sciencey one has to solve it with smarts and sciences.
Yep.
And such like that.
And so that's very Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
and then they have
incredibly
kids
Rick and Morty
that are basically their copies, who are
sort
a
of
lot like...
Yeah. So they're replicants, and it's kind of implied that they're copies, but they're in general pretty profoundly distant characters.
They are different characters for sure.
So that certainly helps a lot. With regard to the two kids, there's a boy and a girl kid. The boy kid is supposed to be a replicant of Corvo, who's the smart one, and he's like a bully and mean for the sake of being mean and kind of crazy town and all that. And then there's a girl kid who's supposed to be the replicant of the other one, and she likes frozen yogurt and wants to do fun. She wants to do her hair and go.
She's a little
makeup. She's typical Hollywood 12-year-old girl. You know, like the typical 12-year-old girl that's like a fucking D-list character in some family drama. She's that kid. She's got like 4 character points.
But she also has like a lot of sass and stuff. I mean, they do delve into the character points for the kids, but the as well as the adults. But like the show, you know, takes you on a lot of Rick and Morty like adventures.
Yeah, a lot of just weird shit for the sake of being weird shit.
Yeah.
There's a B subplot in this series, so, well, I guess really the way that needs to be put is the series is broken into 3 plots.
Yeah.
Your A plot is the adult aliens, Corvo and whatever the fuck his name is.
Corvo and Terry.
Corvo and Terry are the A plot, and Corvo is trying to repair the ship so they can leave Earth, because they were supposed to go to a lifeless planet, and Terry is the, like, pupa expert, even though he's like a fuck off and doesn't really do any work or
he's kind of like a
really actively participate in solving any problems.
Like a lazy stoner.
Yeah.
Kind of a personality. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's more like a sort of like a hikikomori video gamer. You know, it's not like drugs, right? And in reality, this show actually doesn't have nearly as much substance abuse or any substance abuse. Now that I'm trying to think about
as
it,
Rick and
Morty does. But the show does have a lot of a lot more like family dynamic sort of stuff. So it makes up for it there.
It is closer to a kids show than an adult show.
It is closer to a kids show. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's I mean, you know, whatever. It's a pretty good show. But so Terry is supposed to take care of the pupa. The pupa is going to evolve and then terraform the planet to be the same as their old home planet. We don't get to see that, I guess.
No, we don't.
But
well, at least not in this season.
Not yet.
So.
Yeah. It'll probably get another season, assuming that there are enough people who actually have Hulu accounts to watch this show, because it's on Hulu, sadly.
Yep.
No, you know what? It's a good show. The 2 main characters are really good, really well written. I mean, they're basically knockoffs of Rick and Morty, but that's okay. The B plot is the kids, and that's like them doing school stuff. And and in all reality, the B plot is probably okay. There are 3 plots. The main plot is, in my opinion, the least interesting plot. Which is actually
the adults.
Good.
But it's a good plot.
Because they don't really focus on it very much, and in reality, it doesn't fucking matter. Right?
Actually, I would say that there's 4 plots.
is sort of negligible, right?
Yeah, there's
and then the
plot.
B plot is the kids.
There's the kids.
And the kids are their school stuff, and they have to deal with like their principal and their teacher hate them. All the students actively hate them. So it's sort of like Morty
and like everybody
or Summer in
knows that
school,
they're aliens,
but
right?
without the lens, without the protective covering of like plot armor, right?
Yeah.
So you know, they're in school and they're like, fuck you, you green skin, you know, blah blah blah, whatever the fuck. So like you can tell that these kids are like basically getting yelled at for like the obvious alien shit that they're doing. And of course it doesn't help that the daughter is trying to act normal and the son is like wants to hurt and murder everything and is doing like silly experiments on people and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the C plot is the wall, which is a wall of miniaturized humans.
So the kids
that exists within the kids' bedroom.
Yeah, so
that
the
you
kids
slowly learn about over the course of the entire
this
series.
thing where they will shrink a human and then keep them
if they do something wrong. They don't just shrink humans.
Well,
but sometimes
they kind of just shrink
but
humans.
even if they just shrink humans, there's always a reason.
There's not a lot of criteria for this, but they basically keep them
but there's always
to put
a reason.
them into like terrariums inside of there. But inside of the wall, it's like very obviously a parody of like post-apocalyptic Mad Max, Walking Dead, all of that stuff.
Well, it's a parody of Escape from New York and Escape from LA.
And LA, and the character development in some of that stuff is really some of the more absurd things,
these characters,
but is really good.
And you learn why. If a character mentions how they were taken, there's always that reason. Right now, that reason might be like, bang. All right, well, I don't have one with red hair yet, so I'm going to take this one because it has red hair.
Yeah.
Which, like, isn't a great reason, but at least there's a reason. So there is a lot of connective tissue that brings the characters to the wall. And the wall is really your in reality, the kids are, like, sort of quality-wise, the kids are the A plot and the wall is the B plot, and the parents are the C plot, even though the parents are the main characters and the kids are the B plot and the wall is the C plot.
Yeah.
The reason why is because the plot of the adults, of Corvo and Terry, they're the main characters at the beginning of the show and almost subsidiary characters by the end of the show.
Yeah, by the end of the season, and it's because really care more about the stuff happening on the wall
flesh
than
out
anything else.
Everything that's happening in the universe, in this universe, as it were. So, no, I mean, it's pretty good.
I would like to say that there is a fourth plot, too, and that fourth plot is the stuff that happens with the pupa. Because the pupa is supposed to be, like, their baby, and it, like, gets into like adventures. Yeah, it's somewhere between a baby and a pet, and it like gets into like sort of adventures, but only a very small few select of them,
and only really at the very end of the show. Like the last like 3 episodes are really like what
big,
happened.
but like the pupa is like always doing something in the background. So like if you've got the family and they're sitting around, they're talking, doing that like family thing, then the pupa is like doing something weird in the background, and I think that that's pretty fun. Basically, what happens to the pupa, I think, is probably one of the more exciting things that I'm interested to see what they do with for season 2, because the pupa turns out to be a hilarious character, but also like the pupa will eventually evolve and then kill
evolve and then destroy the planet. Maybe.
So that's fun.
Yeah. Again, that might be one of those like a Rick and Morty time travel episode. It may be one of those things that they're going to hint at forever, and then never do, or do but in a dream sequence, or do but in some sort of a snarky, it really actually wasn't real, this was just a prep hologram, or whatever the fuck kind of way. So, I mean, it's, the pupa's a good character, and you do get a lot of development there, and the pupa's a good way to reflect the development of Corvo and Terry, which is really cool. Especially because, like, Terry's supposed to be the, like, pupa expert. That's what he went to, like, alien school for or whatever. Yeah. But he legitimately, like, doesn't know anything about the pupa. Cause
yeah,
he's just,
and
like,
the pupa... Yeah, the voice of the pupa is, like, super familiar, but the name for it on IMDb is just Sagan McMahan. So, whoever you are, Sagan McMahan.
Click on the person.
You did a great
see what
job.
Else they do.
A League of Their Own? No. They have nothing.
I mean...
That's it.
Did you not...
This is it.
Just see, like, airplanes and shit in there?
That's it. They've done literally one thing.
Well, then maybe it was a voice actor doing a facsimile of somebody else's voice.
Maybe, yeah.
Which is probably more likely than
Which
not.
is probably it, because the voice of the pupa seems super familiar, and actually there's a lot of voices that you will find as familiar in this. So, Justin Roiland, Thomas Middleditch. Middleditch. But there's an extra D in there. Middleditch.
Then it'd be Middleditch.
Middleditch. Oh, Thomas Middleditch. I see. I was trying to go edit with that. That's terrible. Okay, Sean Jambroni, that's Yumulak. Mary Mack is Jessie. Andrew Daly is Tim. Christina Hendricks does a voice in this. She does Sherry, who's one of the characters from The Wall. Tom Kenny does several voices. Thomas Barbuska. Jason Mantuziks.
You recognize who that is?
Yeah.
Jason Mantuziks.
He did Vanbo. That was some other people from the Wall.
No, Vanbo was the third alien.
Oh, that's right. He was the third alien.
I recognized the voice as soon as Vanbo started acting like
Alfred Molina
a cunt.
plays the Duke.
Yeah.
So they've got a fairly star-studded cast.
Pretty good all-star cast. I feel like this show... I think it'll probably get a second season. I don't know.
would love to see more seasons of this.
And I think it'll probably do okay. Really, in all reality, I think the greatest hindrance to this show's success is the fact that it's on Hulu alone.
Yeah.
It may be outside of the U.S. It's on other services, but here in the U.S., we found it on Hulu, and it's like all the commercials are like Hulu exclusive, Hulu original, whatever the fuck.
I think this show is good enough to be a several season show, is good enough to be as popular as some favorites like Bob's Burgers, Futurama. This has the potential to be like
Also,
huge
Bob's Burgers and
Adult
Futurama.
Swim.
fairly distant with regard to
I think that this show has like a huge ability to be like Adult Swim famous and popular, but without the cult following that Rick and Morty have. Yeah. It's a little bit lower than Rick and Morty, but the show is fantastic.
It's good.
And the things on the wall are really, really good. For anybody who likes like post-apocalyptic kind of stuff, that is definitely where it's at. There's some spots where you get some feels, there's some backstabbing. You get outside the wall, you get relationships with the kids and how they deal with the parents. There are also some episodes with some feels in there, so they're hitting all the things that they're doing that a long run cartoon series would, but without it being like too childish or too adult. So I think it's a really great show, and I can't wait to see more of it.
I think it would fare better being on Adult Swim, and I think it could do good on Adult Swim. I don't think that it will ever be. It needs to find its voice, and I mean, in all reality, this was the first season of Futurama, but where do you go from here? And that's really the key. Is where do you go, and kind of like how do you get there? Like Futurama succeeds because of its like sort of absolute sense of self.
Yeah.
Right. Futurama is Futurama. Futurama is in all reality, Futurama is a lot bigger than it seems like it is, and that's because it's had that failing and had the fans bring it back, and failing and moving to another network, and it's had the movies, and it's had all that. And if tomorrow, fucking what's his name, who's the main writer for Futurama, came back and said, "Hey, we're gonna bring Futurama back. The apocalypse has reminded me how much I miss that show. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna do all that again. Whatever the fuck." I don't think that anybody would say like, "Nah, we shouldn't do that." Everybody would be on board.
I think the show has the potential to be like that, though.
Could go there, but I don't know that it'll ever get that big. I mean, I think the show is positioning itself to be American Dad. Right?
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Which is big and popular and good, but just not as good as other shows in that, right?
I can see that.
Because that swath of shows, right, is your Simpson, your Futurama, your American Dad, your Family Guy, right? That was like that era of television, as it were. And I think Bob's Burgers sort of stands apart because Bob's Burgers is part of the Bob's Burgers, Adventure Time, the same actor from Bob's Burgers is Archer, right? Which was sort of like the next generation of that kind of series.
Yeah.
And I think that this generation, you have your Rick and Mortys, and I think that we're trying to find stuff to basically try to stand in a similar like era-based like sort of cartoon phenomenon like that. And right now I don't really know that anybody's doing that. Anybody can get close to that. And I think the main reason why is because Rick and Morty's just so well done and so unapologetic about being so well done. It's in your face, we're better than you. I think that this show just doesn't have 100% of those legs yet, but I think that it's getting there, and I think that it certainly has potential. Again, assuming it's offered in more than just Hulu. I think if it stays Hulu exclusive, we might get 1 or 2 more seasons, and then it's just gonna fucking fall away, which is sad. And I don't necessarily think that it's the show's fault, although it could be like Big Daddy Hulu is telling them not to push the envelope here or to do whatever here.
That is possible.
Whereas because you've heard Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon for Rick and Morty say that like they're gonna do whatever they want, and that was the thing was when they got their like 10 more seasons of Rick and Morty, whatever the fuck. It was very like, you have 10 more seasons, do whatever you want. You want to fucking make fun of some shit? I don't care.
But like with a new show and a new channel, basically, you Hulu's a conglomerate. Lot more to kind of deal with.
Hulu's a conglomerate of organizations that have come together to produce Hulu, right? So Hulu is what's wrong with the system. But
It's not wrong.
What I'm concerned with is that Hulu's not gonna be as risk-takey.
Yeah.
With regard to that. In all reality, I think Rick and Morty, the only thing that can stand alongside Rick and Morty right now is anime.
Yeah.
You know, shit like fucking My Hero and stuff like that. Because they're really the only ones that are making animated series that are like that profound. I mean, I watch Cartoon Network, and I can't think of like a new Cartoon Network show that's like
It's true. And
amazing.
we watch a lot of Cartoon Network.
You know, I watch Cartoon Network like every night. It's sort of my like, it's 10 o'clock, we're just gonna put on Cartoon Network. There's nothing else on TV worth a fucking damn.
Until we fall asleep.
Until we fall asleep or whatever. And you know, and it's not Cartoon Network's fault. It's hard to write at that level. It's hard to be that fucking good, as it were.
And it's hard to be that good on a long term.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it's
either
way, this show was fantastic.
Really good. I give it 4 out of 5 Yummy Laps.
You should watch it. Yeah, I definitely give this 4 out of 5 pupas.
Yeah, it's nearly there. Just a little bit of tightening up. I think season 2 has the potential to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. They left some stuff open, but they wrapped some stuff up. So we're gonna have to kind of wait and see where they go with that.
Yep.
Either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Review Jive. We watched Solar Opposites, which is available on Hulu here in the United States. Check it out, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.